All right, Cash Crew, we are back. We have a
Welcome
lot
back
of
for another
things.
week.
Welcome back, Vlad. How you feeling?
We're good. We're good. Got a good topic to get into today.
Yes, sir.
Definitely have a lot of things to cover bases on.
All right, let's just jump right into it. I have some headlines. One thing that really stood out to me over the past week, we have news out of Denver, a mile high country. A lot of people mile high in Denver. Anyway, mile high country. Out of the Broncos, man, there was a suspension. And this one is actually close to me specifically because I actually was able to meet this guy. AJ Bouye was announced to be suspended for 6 games over PEDs. For those of you who don't know, PEDs are performance enhancing drugs, and they are obviously not permitted in the game. And if they're detected in your system at any point, you will be handed out a stiff penalty. And this one is tough. 6 games. The thing that really is tough about this is that it's 4 games left in the season, which means he's going to miss 2 games from next season as well. That is a long, long time to be out.
Yeah,
So,
for sure. And then you don't even know what the money is looking like next year. If the NFL put all the salaries on escrow, so yeah, he might be losing that stiff penalty. I think it's what $2-3 million.
yeah, he was on the books this season for 13 million. He's going to be missing out on 3 million over those 6, well, over 4 games, and then next season we'll see, but he's definitely going to be losing out on 3 million. This
It's a
one
steep
was
penalty.
what'd you say?
That's a steep.
It really is steep because 4 games. It's not like the NBA where you have, well, this season is 72 games, but it's not like you have 82 games to be able to make that up every week. In the NFL, it's you really scrapping to get yours. So this one was really tough. Even tougher when you hear about the circumstances. So it was reported that he actually was lied to by a medical professional. And this was something when I saw it and started digging into it a little bit more that I was able to get. That first of all, we never really talked about this. We haven't talked about people getting suspended, how much money they lose when they get suspended. Obviously, when you do get suspended, you're suspended without pay, so you lose all that money. But also, if it's bad enough, you might lose sponsorship as well. Thankfully, this is not one of those situations. This is actually something really frustrating. It was reported that, of course, he saw a medical professional that he trusted and was lied to about what kind of medicine that he was being provided with. And it was similar to there were 2 cornerbacks out of the Texans, William Fuller and Roby. I forget his first name. I think Brandon Roby. Check on that. I'm not sure what his first name is, but they both got a 6-game suspension for something similar. Going to someone, not knowing what it is. I'm telling you, man.
You gotta
When
do your research, even with these doctors. You gotta know what you're putting in your body.
You have
gotta
to
do your research. You can't just take these medications and think you're all right. Especially when you play in this very strict league. Anything to throw these tests off, they will see it. They will definitely, pull you to the side and let you know, it's not allowed in this league. So, I know these athletes, they trust these doctors thinking, they're looking out for them, but you still got to do your research because these doctors are really for the teams. They're for the owners.
And they always say, you have to know how much or what you're putting into your body. It's not enough to have someone who's a medical professional. The list of PEDs that are not allowed
It's long.
is long and it's ever changing. It may be something on there this year and then 2 years later it's not on there because it's recognized as something that doesn't give a competitive edge. So you really have to know your things, and that's why privatized chefs, privatized medical, it's hit or miss sometimes because some of those guys, it'd be Junebug, it'd be your cousin or whatever, and they don't necessarily check to know what PEDs are not allowed or know what kind of things they can put together that you can actually consume. So it's a tough situation all around. I suspect there will be legal action taken from all 3 guys, not just AJ Bouye, but it's just a tough situation all around. Being able to see these guys practice, I was able to be around AJ Bouye I was able to be around. Oh, I'm forgetting his name right now. Brendan Treywick of the Ravens, formerly of the Ravens. I'm not sure if he got picked up, but random shout out to the trainer. OD is the trainer who trained them,
yes, sir.
and trained
Best trainer in ATL right
yes,
now.
Yes, sir. Oliver Davis. So out of Atlanta.
And definitely, get in contact with him if you want to get to the league. If you're a defensive back,
absolutely, he's elite. Right. He's elite, best in the country. But being able to see these guys in person, man, it is phenomenal. I'll never forget Kenny Moore from the Colts was there.
Yep.
Kendall Vildor from the Bears.
Yep. Who balled out this weekend?
Bouye, yep, balled out this past game that just played today, and Bouye was there, I believe. Elio St. Louis, who's my wife's cousin, who's trying to get on at Coastal Carolina, was there, and just being in that atmosphere, seeing guys, Smoke Monday from Auburn, just so many guys, and you wonder, for me, of course, because we do this podcast, me, I'm thinking about the money. I'm thinking about how, first of all, the kids are being taken care of in college football, but then why when they get to the league, it's so difficult to find good personal finance managers, good medical professionals that won't take advantage of you. So
because the kids not going to class, they don't know these things.
That's true. I mean, they're the ball. That's for sure.
I mean, and their trust factor is very slim. I mean, you gotta understand a lot of these kids came from environments where trust is very slim pickings. So, when they finally see somebody with money or somebody that actually coming out to reach out for help, and it doesn't look like they want to get their money, they're probably more trustworthy with that person, not knowing on the back end the effects of it.
Yeah.
So
absolutely,
this happens a lot.
It's definitely something. Going to practice after practice. I mean, I was there, 2 or 3 times a week since May, all up until now. It's slowed down a little bit, but all the way up until now. But definitely conversations do come up, and when we talk about how much college students are being paid or lack thereof, the question that we pose upon this entire, what we're going to talk about college football, should students be paid, and then how much? We're going to go into some of the numbers, how much college football coaches are being paid, and
how much these games are generating.
Man, it's gonna blow your mind. So definitely we want to jump into college football, how the college football playoff works, and some of the dollars and things that goes into that.
For sure. But so technically, a week from now we have Selection Sunday, which will be, for those that don't know how college football works, Selection Sunday is basically where the college committee picks the top teams, who's eligible for bowl games, and who gets the seeding. But before we get into that, we gotta know who's the top dog this year. So what we like to say, Heisman Watch. This year we got 5 candidates. Of course, one of the 5 is my favorite, but we're not gonna be biased today.
Yeah.
But we got 5 candidates for our Heisman Watch. We got Mac Jones from Alabama, 3,300 yards, 27 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Alabama's 10-0 right now. We also got Kyle Trask from Florida, 3,700 yards, 39 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, and Florida's sitting at currently 8-2 right now. Then we got Devontae Smith, who's a beast. I've seen a couple clips of him playing. 1,300 receiving yards, 17 touchdowns, 1 punt return actually, and then 1 rushing touchdown. So 17 total touchdowns, but 15 receiving. And Alabama, of course, we all know, at 10-0. And then we got one of the biggest, I guess, stars in college football, who's actually taking a hit right now because of him catching COVID, but Mr. Trevor Lawrence, from Cartersville, Georgia.
Sunshine. No, he look like Sunshine.
He
from
do
Remember
look
the
like Sunshine.
Titans.
Yeah. 2,400 yards, 20 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, and Clemson sitting at 9-1. And then we have Ian Book from Notre Dame, which is actually Ian Book. I'm sorry. Which Notre Dame is back on the clock. I mean, back on the radar now. Notre Dame been down and not talked about for quite some time now, and they look like they're back. But 2,300 yards, 15 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and Notre Dame at 10-0. And then, to me, the guy that should have won the Heisman last year, but also back on the Heisman watch again, my guy, Justin Fields, from the Ohio State University.
Right from around the way.
Yes, sir. County. Actually, he used to play against my high school. He played at the rival high school of my high school. So, right up the street. 1,400 yards, 15 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. But unfortunately, because of the conference he plays in, he only has played 6 games so far. And Ohio State is currently 5-0 right now. So, out of those guys, who obviously you guys know my favorite pick. My pick out of these guys is Justin Fields. But who you think is going to take the Heisman this year?
That's a good question. I don't know but that loss that Clemson had, I think took Trevor Lawrence out of it. And it's tough for me to give Justin Fields any kind of look when you're only 5-0. It's a wacky season. I'm gonna think Mac Jones, probably him or Devontae Smith, and that would be different if Devontae Smith would take it because
receivers. Receivers.
We've seen it happen before.
We have. This has been years. I mean, quarterbacks have dominated the Heisman for the past decade now.
Mm-hmm.
Probably even longer, but. If you are going to give the Heisman to a Alabama player, I would say, give it to Devontae. I can't give it to Mac Jones. To me, Alabama don't produce Heisman quarterbacks. They don't produce NFL quarterbacks. They're a running back and defensive team. The receivers makes the quarterbacks at Alabama. We've seen it over time with Ruggs, Judy, Julio, now Devontae Smith, and a lot of other receivers. Those receivers made those quarterbacks. So I'll give it to Devontae Smith, but 5-0, 6-0. I mean, let's be honest. Even if the Big Ten has started on time, Ohio State will be 10-0 right now.
Yeah.
So
then it would be clear cut.
I mean, Justin Fields, he still has great numbers within 5 games. So we'll see. I know the committee is going to cheat us again.
I mean, is it really a cheat when you're
5-0? You know, it's a cheat. It's not his fault the conference started late,
but it is what it is.
And he got and he got snubbed last year. They owe it to him. But hey, you know.
Sorry, Justin, you're not getting it today.
But speaking of Ohio State, so apparently because them playing a short season, they're even predicting should they even be eligible for the playoffs this year. In my opinion, I think they should, not because they're my team, but you can't penalize a team that has no control over when the conference start, and obviously this pandemic we're going through. I think they should let them in. If they're undefeated throughout the rest of the season, which there's about 2 more games, let them in. Undefeated is undefeated. I don't care if it's 2-0, 3-0, 4-0, or 10-0. Undefeated is undefeated.
Yeah, I don't know if, again, same thing as the Heisman. I don't think they'll make it in, but there had to be some kind of conversation before they agreed to play that if they don't have a certain amount of games, that they wouldn't be considered. So if you see that there's a big outroar that they don't make it, then that means there was no conversation in what minimum amount of games need to be played, because although we're in a pandemic, college football had a bit of a head start on a lot of other leagues in terms of how to go about this. There should have been a minimum amount of games to be played, but
that's true.
When you have all these conferences making decisions that don't have anything to do with the NCAA and what they want to do, then you get this. You get teams that just didn't compete outside of their conference, and it's a shame. Justin Fields is in his sophomore year?
Junior.
Oh, he's a junior. So I don't think he's coming back. This is it. This is it for him. So that's tough. You do want to be able to see them in the postseason and see what they can do.
I mean, they're ranked number 3 right now. So what you want to tell a number 3 team you can't make the playoffs because you didn't play enough games? You might as well not rank me at all.
It's going to come down to who's going to be outraged when they're done. They can let them in, and a lot of other teams are going to be outraged. I can tell you for we're talking about non-Power 5, a team like a Coastal Carolina that's 11-0 right now. And they'll say, oh, they only played tomato cans. They're non-Power 5. I seem to remember a goal line stand against BYU that was ranked inside the top 10. That's legit. And they're stomping everybody in their conference. So a team like that would be really mad, even if they don't make the top, college football playoff. But they're number 9 right now. They could be number 8 if they were to tell Ohio State, you can't participate. But who knows? I think Ohio State is just like any other program, like a Kentucky in basketball, like a Duke in basketball. They're football royalty, and you always want to see those teams play in the postseason. So
if they're not eligible, obviously the top 5 teams right now is Alabama, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Clemson, and Texas A&M. Take Ohio State out of that. Who do you put in, and out of that 5, who do you think wins it all?
Well, it's like when Brady was at, in the Patriots, you just don't go against Alabama. Alabama just has so much talent in the way Devontae Smith is playing. He literally, when he wants to slow down, is when he slows down. There's no one touching that guy. Did you see the text, or was it a snap? Jerry by the way, his last name is Jeudi. Okay, we're Haitian here. We're gonna tell you. Let me give you a little bit of culture here on this Sundays. His last name is Jeudi. If you were to ask him, he would tell you it's not Judy. It's not Judy. But anyway, Jerry Jeudi sent him a snap saying you got to run it up on LSU. Like, I know you've been averaging about 200. I'm going to need 3. And he really dropped that in 3 quarters.
The boy is bad.
It's ridiculous.
The boy is bad.
And the crazy thing about Alabama to me is that
last year they had 3 studs.
Yeah, they did.
And now it's like they read up. I mean, not 3 studs, but it's like Devontae Smith wasn't even talked about like that because of how many studs they had last year. Now he's taking over this year, which is crazy.
It's a system. It's crazy because I was watching Tua play and watching all these guys from Alabama, specifically watching Jalen Hurts and thinking, like, he played for Nick Saban. That was his best coach. It's all downhill from here. You don't get better than Nick Saban. I don't care if it's the NFL or not. Like, Doug Peterson is not half the coach that Nick Saban is. So, but he still led them to a win today. But that's for another day. For another day. But I can't go against Alabama. Man.
I agree. I think Alabama will take it this year, even though I don't want them to. But if they do put my team in there, obviously I'm taking Ohio State all the way. Especially we came very short, 1 pass away against Clemson last year. This redemption season.
Yes,
people
sir.
count us out. People say we don't deserve it because of our conference. Mm-hmm. People saying Justin Fields is nice, but he's not Heisman material yet. People saying Alabama is the powerhouse this year. I think this year is going to be to prove everybody wrong.
And I will bet 100 juice boxes on that.
Hey, that's fine with me. If we make it in, if they put us eligible, I'm putting my money on.
Hey, I'll take your money all day long.
But since we're about a week to 10 days away, one of the best times of the year for a lot of sports people, which is college football playoffs. Mm-hmm.
Big
very,
money.
very, very, very exciting time. A lot of money is going to be generated. A lot of great football is going to be played. But, one of the biggest stipulations that have been going on for, I guess, since college football started is obviously the money, which I know a lot of people might not know. The money behind college football, not alone just the game, but especially the playoffs and these bowl games, is very, 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 very astonishing. So let's get into that a little bit.
If you don't mind, I know it's not in our notes here, but there's one thing I forgot to mention. Starting from the beginning, like when college football teams first play their first opponent, you'll have an Alabama versus, little deaf blind sisters of the poor state out of Michigan. And I think a lot of people always ask me about that. Like, Why is that? The first game is always some tomato can. Well, they pay those schools to come play them. It's a scheduled W.
And it's also a momentum builder. It's like homecoming week. You want to pay the sorriest team in your division or conference on homecoming week because you want that win.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing. It's like opening day or the first game of the season. Everybody's excited. It's a new season, so you want to come out with a bang. So it's like, hey, let me put 50 on your head.
Yeah.
How much you want for that? $100,000? Here you go.
Yeah. Actually, it's more like $1 million up. $1 million and up that goes to the school.
Absolutely. So it's like that's also for the big teams to start saying, okay, who's the Heisman people this year? Mm-hmm. The early, very very early predictions.
My favorite part of that is when there's an upset. So you paid them. They came and whooped your ass
and take your money.
They're gonna take your money and rest in peace to Debo. But damn, you got Debo for real.
Facts. But it's a lot of money that these big Alabama, Ohio State, Oklahoma, these type of teams, they pay big money, very very big money, but they also make a lot of money.
That's true.
These are teams that usually are year in and year out in these big games. Most of the big games that most everybody know, the Rose Bowl, Orange Bowl, Fiesta, Peach, Cotton, Sugar Bowl, and of course the National Championship. A lot of people don't know is every time these bowl games are played every year and these teams are going to these bowl games, whoever is the last 4 teams standing, so that I believe that will be the national championship. No, not the national championship. I'm sorry. That'll be the Rose, Cotton, Sugar, and I believe Orange Bowl is the final 4 bowl games. $6 million goes to the conference.
It's a lot of money.
So I don't know if our listeners have ever been. We've been fortunate. We've been to a few nice college campuses: LSU, Clemson. I don't know if you guys ever been on their campus, but
Auburn. We went to Auburn
too. Well. These stadiums are nothing to look down on. And some of them look better than NFL stadiums. These campuses,
specifically LSU.
Oh my goodness,
it's ridiculous.
I mean, LSU it sits more than people. It sits more people than the Benz, right?
Yeah, and it's not even touching Clemson. Clemson,
so it is crazy. And then the campus is top tier.
Yep.
So there's a lot of money getting funneled to these schools for these wins. But what's really crazy is how much the coaches make.
Yeah. I was the kid back in the day that would look up coaches' salaries. Like, that's what I was doing with my time when I was 14, 15 years old.
So the craziest thing, all our listeners listen very, very closely, right? And this might upset some people. This might steer some people the wrong way. But this also might be an eye-opener for you guys. So let's take last year's national championship winner, LSU Tigers. Joe Burrow obviously wins the Heisman. LSU goes 12-0. Joe Burrow ended up the number 1 pick. I don't think he should have been. I don't think LSU should have won, but hey, that's just my opinion. However, last year was a big payday for LSU. Not just LSU. LSU's a head coach.
Coach Ogeron.
Listen to the stat line, listeners. For the 12 regular season wins that LSU got, the coach got paid $500,000. For winning the SEC championship game, he got another $200,000. For LSU playing in the college football semifinals, he got $250,000.
In addition.
These are all additions.
Okay.
And then playing in the national championship game is $150,000. And the cherry on top, for beating Trevor Lawrence in Clemson, he got $500,000.
Man.
And they over here tripping about Odell giving $2,000 to some of the players for winning the national championship game.
Yeah,
because it was caught on camera.
It's a shit show, to be honest, because the NCAA is trying to grasp onto any little thing In the NBA, they have that one and done rule, but they have NFL and college football is a little bit different where they stay for 3 years. But they really squeeze. If the players were oranges, they'd be squeezed dry because the NCAA just knows how to get every single dollar. I'm talking about jersey sales without anything going to the students, all of that. So they make their money for sure.
I mean, that's a fact. I just don't understand. If I'm a Justin Fields, or if I'm a Trevor Lawrence, if I'm a Devontae, how can you tell me? Let's cut it to the chase, right? Most of America is coming to see them.
Mm-hmm.
We ain't coming to see the coach, right? Devontae's putting up the touchdowns. Trevor and Justin's throwing these touchdowns. Their jerseys are getting sold, not your polo shirt. So, I'm not saying, pay Trevor, Justin, and Devontae $2 million, but if I'm winning you probably the biggest game of the season, a nice little $100K would be nice.
That's a lot of money.
But is it really? Because we saying $100K and the coach got the lowest pay he got last year was $150, and that's just for making the national championship game. Forget if he even won, which he actually won.
So $100K. Now, who's getting that $100K?
Now, I think that's going to be the biggest dilemma because then you have to have tiers, right? But you have tiers in the pros too because obviously we all know the quarterback is the highest paid person on all NFL teams or most of the NFL teams. And also your production on the field determines your pay. I think that should be the same way in college. If you're not on the Heisman Watch, you don't get the same tier as somebody on the Heisman Watch. And then if you win the Heisman, you might get a bonus. If you're on the team that makes the college playoffs, you get a bonus.
Yeah.
I think there should be a flat, this is a flat pay for all college football athletes.
I agree.
Because obviously, if you go to Bama versus like Missouri, Alabama generates probably 10x what Missouri generates. Mm-hmm. But, I would say, flat pay. And I know the NCAA can afford it. Say, hey, look, whatever the median salary is for a worker in America right now, let's say it's $30,000. Everybody gets $30,000. Kicker, punter, quarterback, everybody. However, your production is like incentives. Whatever you produce on the field, that'll be your bonus. So if you're a receiver that gets 1,000-yard seasons and 20 touchdowns, okay, bonus. If you're a quarterback that wins the Heisman, throws for 30 touchdowns, 5,000 yards, bonus. If you make, the college football playoffs, you make the national championship, bonus. But your salary for the year is $30,000 until you get to the league.
Yeah, I think people sometimes get this misconstrued because they think the students aren't getting paid at all, and that can't be further from the truth. The students do receive stipends. They do. It just depends on which conference you're in, and then it depends on. Unfortunately, it depends on your gender because if you're playing women's sports, it's not going to be anywhere near
absolutely
where men's sports is. And then what sports you play. If you're playing football, you're going to be able to get a higher stipend. And to be honest, personally, I think that's where it's going to stay. They may up the stipends a little bit, but once you get into tiers and you get into, who deserves this, who deserves that, like who then becomes the governing force of that, So I think with college sports, I think it'll stay there. It'll just be that they get paid a little bit more depending on what the laws of the land is, but I think giving everyone a stipend. But here's the problem then. If everyone's going to get a stipend, what about those sports that don't bring any money in, right? You're in the South.
Kids still have to eat. Kids still got bills to pay.
I'm just saying, for those programs like in Alabama football, basketball is an afterthought. Don't even get me started about golf. And then you have all the women's sports as well. So are we saying that football, which is making the lion's share, they're making 80%. And that's across the country. We know that.
For sure.
They're making 80% of the budget for, say, like the athletic directors looking at their budget. 80% is being generated by football. I'm throwing that number out there, but I think it's a safe guess to say 80%, right? So then you're telling me that football has to pay for, women's golf?
Yes, it's the same reason why us 9-to-5 workers, our taxes have to pay for other things for other people. Our tax dollars pay teachers. Our tax dollars pay for these roads and traffic lights. It's the same thing.
Yeah, here's the difference, though. The AD's just going to say, cut it. Forget golf.
You can't do that.
Yeah, yes, you can. You can do it all the time.
Because the NCAA won't allow that.
Yeah, the NCAA does this all the time.
Yeah, if you lose your credentials,
no.
They're not just
That's not how it works. If you don't have money to support the program, they shut it down. It just happened the other day. There was a program that they had a great season the year before, and they didn't have enough money. They shut the program down.
So that just means you're at a school that just have a funding problem. But if you're a big school like Alabama and Clemson and stuff, you have nowhere near. Bruh, you got people that go to the league every year. Mm-hmm. So what these alumni checks are looking like? Come on. Are you serious?
It's just not gonna happen, man. It's not gonna be something that happens. California came up with it. I want to say California.
They tried
some legislation.
Yeah, they tried. It's still in the works.
But I don't see America being so individualistic. I don't see them going for what they would call, and by they I mean the American public in general, my money that I put into this garden to make it grow. You're trying to come to me who don't have a garden and you don't have anything at all. You're trying to say that you want some of my tomatoes. That's not American. It's like they're gonna say, no, I'm not sharing shit with you. You just gonna get your shit shut down.
But it's the same thing like in regular society. It's like us paying for Obamacare. Mm-hmm. I have insurance, right? Why should my hard-earned dollars be able to afford for your government plans?
Yeah,
it's the same thing, and that's why I say you should have tiers. If Alabama is saying, "Hey, the football team is bringing 80% of the revenue in," fine. So that means football gets a higher tier of pay. Maybe not 30,000 per player, maybe 50, but everybody else get 30. It is what it is. Mm-hmm. But somebody has to get something. I'm not saying it has to be fair. As far as, and the reason I say fair, I was referring to football players in general. Mm-hmm. I'm not referring to all sports. Obviously, all sports are not going to get the same pay because, like you said, first of all, golf is maybe 5 to 8 people on the team compared to football that has 52 to 53. You can't compare that. But you should have tiers of base pay, just like you have tiers of base pay in corporate America. You have tiers of base pay there. Football, hey, if your school is a football school, then the football players get a higher tier of pay. If your school is a basketball school, right, like a Duke or North Carolina, then the basketball program gets a higher tier of pay. But that doesn't mean the star player of the basketball team get paid more than everybody on the team. No. It's still base pay for everybody. Now, there's incentives if you outperform, yes, mm-hmm. But it's the same thing. Same way if you outperform in golf, same way if you outperform in swimming. There's a incentive for that, but there should be a base pay for everybody, and I think that should be fair.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. But then again, I look at the NCAA with a cynical eye because they have a history of screwing all these young athletes over, and I don't think that changes because last time I checked, that board of directors still old and white. So that's not going to change anytime soon, and they just don't have to. It's not legislated law, and so they don't have to, and they won't. There's not no amount of opining from players, no amount of threats from the players saying that they won't play if this. In NCAA, I want to say there's been plenty of athletes that have said, this is not worth it for me to get hurt here and then not be able to. Well, then you still can't go. You say you're a freshman, you still can't go to the league for another 2 years.
But that's just football.
Yeah, football is the one that has the most attention. But
It's the biggest powerhouse. I think the biggest change and the thing to happen to bring change is this. Like you said, maybe not a freshman do it, but let's say a Trevor Lawrence, a Justin Fields this year, who are both juniors, say, you know what? I'm tired of this. Clemson, I'm not taking a snap until we figure something out. What you willing to lose? We might go 1-9 without me. You might lose that bonus of making the playoffs. You might lose the chance of winning a national championship. Are you willing to risk all that? Maybe so. Maybe you are for a year because I'll be gone next year. I'm going to the league anyway. Mm-hmm. But it will start a trend for the big, and that's what same thing in the NFL, same thing in the NBA. It's gonna have to be the same thing in college. The big stars is gonna have to start. You can't have your 4-string receiver saying, well, you know, I ain't going to show up to practice because I ain't getting paid. Them like, all right, bro, cut, next. We recruiting next year anyway. No, it has to be a star. And I think the best example we had was last year with Chase Young. When he got suspended for those 2 games, he lost the Heisman of it because he got money, which he ended up giving back because he wanted his family to be at the game for the Rose Bowl.
Yeah.
The year before.
Stupid. So dumb. And I think one of the biggest things that we leave out, that I think, to be honest, is the deciding factor, because the NCAA knows, come on, man, these kids are getting paid, okay?
Yeah.
The ones that aren't as good, maybe not. But these kids are getting paid.
They ain't showing up to these tunnels and league fits because of mommy and daddy checks. Now.
There's $500 handshakes going on. Where the hell do
probably
you
$500,000.
Some of these kids are showing up in the
Range
nicest
Rovers,
cars, right? Like, where are you getting
busted
that?
down rollies.
Come on, where are you getting that? Those are booster checks going to do their job. So it's kind of like the NCAA may feel like they're getting a raw deal because they're like, bro, you know we can't pay you. You know we're not going to change this rule, but we know you're getting paid. Like, we know there's some deals going on.
Or we'll get you stuff that's not necessarily hard cash, but you get you stuff that you can pay with cash.
Exactly.
So what do you want? I'll go buy it for you.
Right, and you can use it. You can borrow it.
You can borrow it, right?
There's workarounds, but it's interesting. That whole thing, it's a whole world of its own with the NCAA, specifically with college football. But we got to see it, not to tangent off of that, but even in the high school ranks. Remember, we went to that game. It was
with Colin Sexton
versus
Trayvon Duval.
And I remember, not saying that they got paid in the hallway, but I know.
Oh yeah, grown men putting bets on their heads.
We saw who was it? Was it Bruce Pearl from Auburn?
John Calipari.
And then John Calipari, like fraternizing with those guys, sitting courtside.
Roy Williams was there.
Lou Williams, you said?
Roy
Williams from UNC, yeah. And then when they're warming up in the hallways, you can see them talking to those guys. You don't think any money, any cash...
It's a recruiting pitch.
You don't think any cash went from hand to hand?
Yeah.
It happens all the time in amateur sports.
And it's funny because that's actually what's going on right now with Sharif Cooper.
Really?
Yeah. That's why he's not playing right now. They have a stipulation that the AD... that's the reason Isaac Okoro and Sharif had went to Auburn. They said the AD had some type of transaction as far as bribing them to come, but that's
just like, man,
that's news on the streets. I don't hold it to me, but that's what's being said why Sharif Cooper's not playing.
Sharif went. Oh, okay. I'm thinking of someone else altogether. So what's he can't play at all?
He's not playing right now. So free Sharif Cooper, man. That boy needs to be on the court for Auburn. Whatever is going on, I hope they figure it out soon because that's talent that's not supposed to be sitting on nobody's bench.
Hey, James Wiseman played 2 or 3 games and he still went top pick. So I think Sharif Cooper will be fine.
Well, I mean, we'll see. But, when you're not in the starlight and you're not in front of that camera, people tend to forget about you very fast. Things change fast. And you also give somebody else a chance to get some light, which can boost their draft stock. Because don't care how nice you are, you have to perform in order to be a top pick.
At least one game. They gotta at least see.
He's not been practicing with these guys, man. He can't even practice with them, which is
Yikes.
very, very, very. It sucks. It's a bad sight to see, because this is a hardworking dude, man. You know, he deserves everything he got. So whatever's going on, I hope they really do work it out. But free that man. Free Sharif Cooper.
Yeah, we need to see some good basketball.
We definitely need to see him on the court soon. But that's all we got for you guys today. Let us know what you think. College football playoffs is right around the corner. Who
Selection
you think
Sunday, next Sunday.
Yes, Selection Sunday. Who do you think is going to win the Heisman? Who do you think is going to win the national championship? And we'll see you guys next week.
All right, Cash Crew. Till next time.